Hello, good morning. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are back on another edition of this program. It's Tuesday, and we are happy to be here again. To review some of the newspapers and some of the stories making headline. And I am Ibrahim Balde. I am here with Julde Njai. Julde, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
My sister is now Mrs. Sabali.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. So, if you are calling Julde, make sure you put respect to her name.
Yes, especially ñu ma xamul ñu nekk suma beneen corner bi.
Wow, nañ respect affaire si.
Good morning. They call hyphenate, isn't it? So how do they put it now? Julde Njai Sabali, isn't it? That's the sort of way they do it.
Yes, that's my name.
Well, I have got a bobu duma ko def de. Julde Njai Sabali, best my brother-in-law ñoo jox ma takku dina.
Wow, dafa war a
sila ko jox di Sabali. Wow. Go ahead, ñu ne dañoo def Sabali si Njai bi.
Yes, wow.
Wa gisuma takku dina.
Julde,
this is a message to my brother-in-law. Wako balde mu ne joxuloo ko takku dina. Mr. Sabali mi yan takku dina. Takku dina ngumara.
No, are.
All right, so how have you been?
I've been great, alhamdulillah. I spent almost the whole of last week with family.
Okay.
And I had a restful week with my family and all that. We had enough time to discuss, interact, which I hardly have nowadays, having time with family. But alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
That is what it is. Sometimes it's important to go take some days off, go spend time with the families.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Momodu Mboj,
Yeah.
I can tell your activities. You've been at work, you've been busy with African news, you've been busy with editing. From there you went home. I don't know what you've been doing at home, but I know what you've been doing at work. It's predictable.
Yes, very, very. Now sort of like everything is routine. You know what I mean? Things are so monotonous. No, not much adventure.
Yeah.
So more or less the same things, really. Go home, I don't know, watch a few documentaries on the Second World War. I'm obsessed about the Second World War. And that's it.
What makes you obsessed with that?
I do not know. It's just a fascinating period. The era of the Nazis and the Allies and the Axis and all sorts of things, all these interesting characters and some bizarre visions of hell, as it were, on Earth. Quite fascinating period.
Yeah, I found this current war trade between China and the US fascinating, even though I am not an economist and I can hardly understand some of these economic terms, but it enables me to do further research to actually understand the dynamics of world trade and world economies and how they really operate. And I must say, this serves as a learning point for most of the young people who are coming, who find it very difficult to understand world economics, trade, and how it operates.
That's it, and the underlying politics. Isn't it interesting that in the Second World War, China and the US were on the same side? So just given time, this is the sort of stuff that happens. Yes, this is history. Absolutely. Nothing is stationary. Change is the only constant, as they say in history. Everything will change.
Yeah.
Everything will change, and we hope and pray it change for the good.
Yeah.
For the better.
Yes.
Absolutely.
For that being the case. Yes, on the program, we'll take a look at the African code. From the African code, then we will be talking, we'll look at the newspaper review, some of the things happening. And quite very interesting. Here against election, Gambia is becoming, a nation that most of these countries are, looking at due to the hype, the preparations, political parties all over. So we will see. And I am hopeful there will be a lot of registrations again for political parties, new political parties. But someone was telling me, it will be difficult for one party to win elections now in Gambia. There must be a coalition. My friend, I'm waiting for the coalition of 2026. I don't know how is that going to be.
That's it. I mean, after 2016, we suspected that possibly there was the beginning of a new pattern. now you have how many parties do you have now? How many candidates? So the field is a bit crowded. So it is in such situations that you tend to have coalitions. Some would come together, form this. You might even have more than one. 3 or 4 parties could come together, and then you have another maybe 2 or 3, because there are so many would come together. So you're going to have, there are all kinds of permutations that are possible in that. And yes, so this is it. This is how democracy works. It's not neat. Nothing is delineated in any clear way. You just allow a certain dynamic, then you see the outcome.
Absolutely. And it's evident with the recently concluded Masembe by-election. And recently, the one that is ongoing, it's that of Half-Die in Banjul. And you can see that how much interest some of these political parties are putting in, and how much effort they're putting into this election. And you tend to wonder, this is not even more than 4,000 people are residing in this particular ward. But why is it that there is too much emphasis on this area, and why is political party leaders or political parties really interested in this particular election? So that goes to show, come 2026, it's going to be really intense. A lot of people are coming, and I'm suspecting that this time around too, we are going to have a lot of independent candidates, just like that of the 2016 and the 2021 presidential election. So, I mean, yeah, it's democracy at work, and I like the fact that a lot of people, because it allows people to make informed decisions and choices. If you have a lot of people to pick from, and a lot of these manifestos to look at. But if you have a monopoly of political parties, that is not helpful.
Absolutely, yes. In a democracy, you want variety, granted.
Sure.
But whether the voter thinks rationally and reasonably through issues, I am not so sure about that.
Yeah.
So these by-elections coming up, I think it's really a kind of political symbolism in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes with voters, when it comes to National Assembly elections or council elections and the like, they tend to punish the incumbent party if they're not happy, stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see. So here you will have a situation where the incumbent party will also want to show that it is popular.
Yeah.
It's doing so well, so it is popular.
Yeah.
So you have that contest, as it were. So it is a kind of a plebiscite, you know, a referendum on how the government is performing, you know, the opposition as well. How well are you doing? Where you're standing? So it's got that symbolism. That is why they've invested so much. They're putting in so much in this. One should expect that.
Exactly. I mean, these council elections are becoming very interesting. Few months back, if you can see how the Masembe election was hyped by different, by the political parties. In fact, it is more of campaigning for presidential elections. So it's telling you, you know, what are we going to expect in 2026?
Absolutely. And to be honest, I am one person who do not know Masembe until the by-election. That was that I was like, okay, let me look this village up. You know, what is so interesting about this village? So yeah, I mean, it goes to show that if a lot of resources can be pumped into or put into a by-election of less than 2,000 or 3,000 electorates, that goes to show the importance of the upcoming 2026 presidential election. You know, I think millions have been spent already on the mass, and Half-Die too. People are expecting that millions more will be spent on the Half-Die election as well.
Yes, elections cost money. Democratic politics around the world, and unfortunately, should I say that, it's really run by money. Anyway, so whether we like it or not, this is really what is. I mean, if you want to have legislation to limit that sort of thing, fine, you may go ahead and do so. But otherwise, parties will spend whatever they spend.
Well, you know, the problem that I mean, I'm talking about now is overspending. for certain positions, you understand. I am pretty sure even the Masimba election, there was a lot of funds spent, you know, and we are also going to see that kind of a trend for Banjul, that's the half-day award, because at some point even fueling your vehicles to go up and down, I mean, it's going to cost, and where is that coming from? So at some point, too much spending.
All right, you've used the word overspending. What is overspending? All right, what is appropriate spending? Well, where's the threshold, really?
What I mean by overspending, I'm looking at the position itself. A councillor election and presidential election, mayor election, or local government election, you know, should have a different budget. I mean, depending on the hierarchy, you understand? At some point, what we expect to pump in when it is presidential election should in fact be different from the local government election. Yeah. And from the local government election, it should be different from the councillor election. Yeah. But how about if you're saying funds that are being spent and you definitely know, okay, this is more than what it is supposed to be. Is the position
even worth the hype?
Spending.
Councillor, I mean, I'm not really sure if they are making that much of an impact in, at the grassroots level. You know, we know that councils, local government, they're really struggling with resources and all of that. I'm not really sure of the impact councillors have had in Gambia and Gambians. But again, I think for me, the election was more of trying to prove a point than the position itself, because I don't think the position warrants all of these things. I think all of these political party leaders or political parties are trying to prove a point. Okay, we are still the majority. We still have the majority here. We're still powerful. We are still leading. I think these are some of the points they were trying to prove.
And basically, you know, that notion, these elections, how they transpire, that's how 2026 it's going to be. You understand? So if I am talking here, I am talking to the NPP, I am talking to UDP, you know, the biggest political parties. Sometimes UDP might spend a lot of funds to prove a point. NPP might spend a lot of funds to prove a point. But at the end of the time, the party itself needs those funds to sustain itself. It would have been gone to different development agendas, I mean, than just proving a point.
Two things there. First, you said they should do this, they should do that, they should do this, they should do that. Being too moralistic about politics, you know what I mean? This was why I said earlier, what we've seen around the world, money is really, having lots of money can corrupt politics. We've just seen how a billionaire changed things in American democracy. So I'm not sure why you have this moralistic view, everybody should behave properly. I'm not sure whether I as a citizen should, of course I'm worried about it, but oh, come on, this is how politics operates. How can I control stuff like that? Are we going to have the legislation in place that would control spending and all the rest of it? Yes, I know that I have a problem with implementation, but we'll worry about that. Gradually, we will learn to do that. So first, I have the legislation. So in the meantime, this is really what is going to happen. Those with muscle, they're going to spend that money. So I, as a citizen, level playing field, well, already that differential in the money already tells you that you're not going to have a level playing field. So how do I limit my expectations? Well, the courts are working. We have on-the-spot counting, isn't it, and stuff like that. So you just want a kind of reasonably free and fair election.
Mr. Mamadou Mbodj, at this point we'll take the African code.
That's it.
Yeah, I think we've spent too much time.
Well, that's the nature of politics, isn't it?
Yeah. The old elephant knows where to find water. The old elephant knows where to find water.
That's interesting, because do you know what I've got here? Do not put your goats out to graze in the field of the leopards. So I've been given the raw
updated version.
Probably yeah, that's updated. Yeah. So the old elephant knows where to find water.
Yes, and I think the word that gives it away there to my mind is old.
Okay.
Experience.
It's important.
Absolutely. I think the operative word there is really old. The old elephant knows where to find water. Yes.
Experience is the greatest teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it is everything.
Wow. So I think the proverb is direct.
It is. It is.
And, you know, most people will tell you what an elder sees while sitting, a child cannot see while climbing the okoro tree. You understand? So it's more of kula jitula.
Wow. Si neeg bu lendem.
Mola muna ne dugal nga tok nali. Neeg bi mu ngi lendem, Mr. Mbodj. Amut lampa, amut dara. Mënuloo gis. Nga dugal rek mané la Mr. Mbodj so duggé rek just doxal lu melni half a meter rek nga tok ci sofa bi. Man mala ko mëna wax because man ma xam neeg bi yaga na fa. You know.
Now this is interesting. So how provocative a little bit. What do we mean by experience? Is it simply going through an event? In other words, is there a distinction between experience and adventure? Adventure also, you do things, you go through things. What do we mean by experience? We say it all the time. I don't know. I can be 60.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm varied experiences, huh?
Yeah.
So let us be careful with this simple equivalence between age, the number,
and the experience.
And lima accumulate.
Yeah.
That experience.
Yeah.
Because experience here mean a certain engagement with events and situations.
Circumstances,
that's
and how
it.
you're able
so
to
there is some mental work done in linear or experience. So merely going through, you know, situations, you know what I mean? That in itself, you know, no. It doesn't give you automatic experience, this self-knowing. You see, that sort of self-knowledge, I think, is really included in experience. So let us be careful what experience is. I think that is important for this sort of talk. So not any old cow don't necessarily have
the experience. I mean,
it's not simple because keep therefore.
Even sometimes they said even fools get old.
Absolutely. I like that. Fantastic. Even fools get
more than like bullshit advice for nekade. Sometimes bad hell.
That's it. That's it. So we should be careful, you know.
So we'll be right back after the break. And then from the break, the program continues.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Go, ebe dawa full network suta tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network jumala keta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon sota jam ona manke QCell. Anibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria QCell suñu boss. Ñu fi njeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawa fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell meta lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. Connect solo be bambandi QCell sunyu boss. QCell most innovative QCell sunyu boss.
are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now let's move on to the newspaper reviews. We have some of the stories on the Fourier newspaper.
Can I put in a complaint first?
Yes.
Why do you invite me over here to review the newspapers where you don't have any newspapers?
We have newspapers.
We have
where are the papers?
We have
newspapers.
now we don't deal with hardware, we deal with software. So we have the soft copies. The newspapers are on the screen, Mr.
How come I've not been provided with one?
Okay, we have the U.S. judge dismisses Michael Corrier's motion for acquittal. Mr. Momodou Mboy, that's the Fourier newspaper. I mean, they've dismissed the motion, acquittal. Leader for Bury affair.
But to me, this is very simple. Yes, there was a motion to acquit. You know what I mean? And the court said no. But there's something you need to answer to. Let's move on to the next stage. Absolutely, it's just very straightforward as far as I'm concerned. Yes, and lawyers try all sorts of tricks, don't they, for their clients, and this is how it should be. Right. So you know they've made this attempt and it has failed, and I'm sure they will come up with all this stuff as well.
Exactly. I mean, 3 accused in the Banjul robbery pleaded not guilty. You know, you remember a few months back where people were seen with guns, entered a shop and tried to rob, you know. So something very serious. So
is it the Al Haila shop?
Now they are pleading not guilty.
Yes, it's right. The courts will test it. So they've just taken the plea.
But the circumstances of, you know, the incident, probably they were not apprehended red-handed. So, you know, that might give them this chance to say, we are not guilty. Probably we are not the people. It's
It is often, I think, I don't know, it's in the discussion with their lawyers, then they will decide what strategy is best for them. Absolutely not much to say about this. This is still the initial stages of a trial. So they've pleaded not guilty, fine. We'll see what happens. Then this is the time now to test evidence, as it were. It will have your own evidence. And that's it.
So UDP, the biggest opposition party in the Gambia, is asking, you know, for urgent implementation of TRRC recommendations.
Well, yes, I would expect them to do so. I think apart from UDP, perhaps you may even have NPP sympathizers who really want the TRRC recommendations because they were victims. You see, you know what I mean? So this one cuts across partisan. Everybody really wants that implementation, obviously. But some things are easier to implement than others. You're not going to have this uniform pace of implementing everything. It doesn't exist like that. Already we know about the prosecutions. We've had to get help from ECOWAS with this hybrid court. So some things will take longer than others. So this is going to be a long process. It seems as if with these TRRC recommendations, when it comes to their implementation, it tends to drag on. This is our experience with other countries that have had it. Even though some people say that, yeah, true, in other countries, the process has been slow, but it doesn't have to be like that here. Why I say yes, of course it doesn't have to be, but it appears as if these processes are by their very nature slow. So I'm not sure whether you can get that. You know.
They are too slow. Sometimes the fundings also becomes problems. We might think it's easy, let's implement the TRRC recommendations, but do you even have the resources to do that? You know, but at some point too, we have to be very serious when pushing to implement it, to gather resources, I mean, to implement it, because there are victims, I mean, who are sitting and watching, I mean, to make sure this is implemented, children.
It is just like the newspapers yesterday, where my Fati was saying that it is unwise for government to spend $4 billion on the prosecuted former president Yahya Jammeh. I mean, if that is anything to go by, I don't think it's really that those monies, I mean, 4 billion is a lot of money. You can just use that for the TRRC, some of these victims.
Even reparations.
Reparations, you know, I know it's important. I'm not saying former President Yahya Jammeh should not answer to the law, should not answer for the alleged crimes, you know, that he was accused of. What I'm saying is spending that much money just to prosecute him. I think the victims need reparations, they need healing, they need treatment. Some of them, they experience life-threatening illnesses. Some of them are still battling with a lot of things, trauma and all of that. You can use that money to actually spend on them first before actually thinking of prosecuting someone using that money. I think for me, yeah, that is important. But again, you know, reparations and all of that, it's important.
Was that the argument of my Fati, that the 4 billion could be spent elsewhere?
Yeah, he's saying it's not wise for government to spend $4 billion on prosecuting Jammeh.
Why? What is unwise about it?
He's saying the government should focus on the victims instead, just like the point I mentioned.
This is very interesting. Just when I was listening to you, an interesting quote just came to my mind about some people who know the price of everything but the value of nothing. We cannot have that. This is not a binary situation where it's either this or that. It is this and that. You need both.
Yeah.
That's it. So we shouldn't oversimplify things and putting it in that simplistic binary way. Yahya needs to be prosecuted, really. We need to test the TRRC report in court, you know, recommended for prosecution, right? Yeah. But also we need to focus on the victims. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is how states work. Really, you have to do so many things, really, at the same time, unfortunately, when you are in power. Yeah. It is only when you are out of power, then you start making all sorts of demands, never mind whether what is doable right now and the like. You can say whatever you want until you get into power. Then you have to encounter the reality.
But if there are not enough resources, you have to prioritize.
There will never be enough resources, yet the little that I have, the solution is I need this and that. That is the solution. True. Once I start compromising on principle, you see, principle must drive policy.
Right.
Yeah, a society must never be ruled by the idea of your own poverty. You just do amateurish things. You do things that, you know, that will not give you the solution. You settle for second best, third best, fourth best. Now you're going to the bottom of the barrel. That's awful. That's uncultured. You don't do that. You need to do this and that. It's not this or that.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, it's definitely tough that should be looked into. But first, before any implementation, but you'll also got a point here. Before spending those resources, I think the victims need to be taken good care of first. Then we talk about prosecution. You know, that's what I think.
Do you know how much has been done so far? Do you have any idea? Because things have not been stagnant for a very long time.
Things have been done.
That's it.
Things have been done.
Do you know how much has been done?
Well, we
can't really say how much has been done, but what is clear and what we know for a fact, it's the fact that not much has been done, because the victims have been coming out almost on a monthly basis, you know, telling us, you know, some of the things that they were promised were not really implemented. So that we know that for a fact. You know, we are not saying they're not doing something. They're doing something, but the level at which and the pace at which they're doing it, it's the question now.
It's a slow one. You see, we should not we should not be focused more on other things and forget about these things.
Yeah.
These things are also very important. I mean, this makes us as a nation. At some point, there are people who have gone through a lot of problems, and these are people that we expect to be taken care of. At the heat, when the thing was heating, everybody was focusing on the victims. I mean, how can we help them? How can we push? How can we make sure they get reparations? How can we make sure they get justice? You understand? But now, we don't have to be slow about it. We all understand how things work in Africa. People prioritize other things, especially which are not of interest to them.
You are very interesting, Mr. Balde. We know how things work in Africa. Yet you espouse a view, for us to achieve that, things will be different. But where would that difference come from? You know what I mean? You accept that we do things in a way that we shouldn't, and that you want outcomes, as it were, that are ideal, really, and yet you don't want to break the system. But
there should that's where attitudinal change comes in place. That's where
complex.
Complex. But that's where commitment comes into place. I'm talking about being committed.
Let's put it this way, you have many processes going on right now, yes? Not at even pace, they are not evenly paced, yes? Regarding the victims, when it comes to reparations, make no mistake about it, people will always complain. Put in there the 4 billion, put in all the money that you want, yet in the implementation, so much complaint would emerge. It will never be enough. The country went through a tragedy. It was just extraordinary situation, yes? Reparations can just go so far.
Yeah. But
let's adjust our expectations. We get disappointed because the expectations are really so high, but we don't realize it. We think that it is well deserved.
Yeah, but
maybe
it's not impossible.
Maybe. No.
If Rwanda can do it, a country that experienced genocide, why not the Gambia? If they can find themselves, if they can really move and forge ahead as a country, if they can forgive and then move on, why not the Gambia? It's not so much complex. There is just that commitment, that willingness to actually get things done.
That's very interesting. Rwanda, we bring that as an example.
Yeah.
And Kagame's style. Kagame is quite authoritarian. Kagame's style is very different from what we're doing. We want to do these things following human rights, democracy, and all the rest of it. We all know the other side of Kagame. We cannot hide that. At all. So that firm hand, as it were, imposing things. Here we talk about term limits. How many years has he been in power? So the comparison there cannot hold at all. It cannot hold at all. The conditions under which we want to make these changes, oh my God, it wouldn't allow you to. Necessarily, the gains of democracy are incremental, imperfect, very slow, because democracy is really the art of the compromise. It's never radical. You cannot do anything radical. There are so many interests. You have to come and talk about it and compromise.
Right.
You will always compromise. This is what we are doing now. You will always compromise on this or that. It's where you have a firm leader, be it in Rwanda or China, or where you have firm leaders. You see, Trump is also trying to imitate that. Where you have a firm leader will just come and shake the whole bottle. That's what Trump is doing in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, you are right too. I agree with you to some extent. Not using the scenario or the context for Rwanda to actually bring that, the approach they used to bring that in our Gambian context. I mean, these are two different things. We're talking about genocide and we're talking about people few hundreds people or thousands people who were affected in our own context. What I'm saying is, if millions of people can lose their life in a country, but then they find healing after decades, maybe 2 decades or 3, they can find healing, they can move on, you know, they as in their normal lives, they can prosper, they can, you know, do stuff. Why not us, the Gambia? You know, atrocities are not the same. You can't compare genocide to that of, you know, human rights violations like torture, killings, rape, and all of that. You can't really compare those two.
Absolutely. So we should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's really what you
Absolutely.
say, that we should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And yet, if I take your interpretation, right, we are not doing it. If we should be able to do it, yet we are not doing it, why is that? Maybe in your should, there's an error. There's a miscalculation there. You've miscalculated something.
Yeah.
That is why you're not getting the outcomes, you know, you expect. This is really what my point is.
Right.
We've always talked about this organizational chaos, organizational sort of like lack of acumen. You know, we've been having problems as a continent, really, of having rules, regulations, and enforcing them.
That's just it.
These are two different things.
Actually, the rules and regulations are in place.
Yeah,
but enforcement, implementation,
it's been very
and
difficult.
commitment.
It's been very the commitment problem.
So that's what we are facing.
So there's a commitment problem. That is true. These guys who won the economics prize, this year Nobel Prize, Asimoglu, the Turkish, and somebody called Simon Johnson, and James Robinson. This is what they said. This was one of the issues. There's a commitment problem.
But there will be a time someone is going to identify that problem and point it out and start implementing.
No, they've pointed it out.
The thing is, we
what do you do about it? We know what the problem is.
To implement.
So what do you do about
That's
it?
the problem.
That's the problem.
We know that these are the issues. We know
But
they're
you know,
clear.
we have weakness for implementation. Yeah.
And this is it. For instance, I think what the Senegalese guys are doing, Jomai and Sonko, is to really upend the old ways of that institutional culture.
Doing things.
That entrenched culture where the head of the institution is, you know, the institution is like the fiefdom, as it were. Extraordinary levels of embedded, you know,
it's understood.
Patronage and corruption and all this.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
can go
Mohamed
on
Boj.
and on and on.
Thank you very much. We will never stop talking until things change. Africa, all we need is consistency. All we need is leaders who will implement. All we need is leaders who will have Africa at heart. So when we have that, we are done. I mean, we would move.
It's never done, Balde.
Yeah, so at this point, we'll take a short break. After the break, then we'll get into the other segments of this program. We'll be back.
Kiumoni arti webi na fitora gol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiumoni a wawa wadde piji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuudi maɗin e o kiumoni apke song a wawa nattinde mbuudi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paba soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuudi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuudi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu Kiwmoney customer care e 133 Kiwmoney suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki Kiwmoney e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app sone yariŋo a lannayata ndun e sekuwol be keno ibe dawoda wati yo wati e se munafanno ila kodola anin Kiwmoney la ñim mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise credit ko sanno ye Q power sang ye feŋol sang ndun fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise Kiwmoney kino yela bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenye pour que munafanñina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kusere ngo soto je Kiwmoney customer care commandi 133 Kiwmoney suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma Q-Money Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Q-Money mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q-Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Q-Money fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
Q-Money is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new Q-Money app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q-Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send Q-Money, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. Q-Money, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and on the platform I'm with Jules Denjai. Yeah, so now let's move to the second segment of this program, and we'll be talking about the recently concluded peace dialogue in Fonyi by the Civic Education of the Gambia. And we have Mariama S. Gay, Civic Education Officer, and Philip A. Jata, Gomez rather, a Civic Education Officer as well. So gentlemen and lady, welcome to QTV this morning.
Thank you.
Yes, it's good to have you here. Let's start with Mariama. Please, in a brief, we just want to understand the work of the Civic Education.
Good morning and thank you very much for having us, Ibrahima and Julde. Civic Education is an institution of the Gambia. It's a national institution. And the full name is actually National Council for Civic Education. And one of our mandates, which is constituted by the Constitution, rather, it's stipulated under Section 198 for the establishment of a Council for Civic Education. And one of our mandates is to inform and enlighten people, citizens of the Gambia, as per their rights and responsibilities. We don't only inform about the domestic rights, but also international rights globally. Because as a citizen of the Gambia, your enlightenment shouldn't only be peculiar about the Gambia alone, but also outside, because we know that Gambians are all over the world. So informing them about the ongoing occurrences around the world and within the Gambia is part of some of the things we do.
Now, in that case, Philip, how effectively is the council really engaging or doing its work or its mandate to actually engage people on their rights and responsibilities in the civic space?
Thank you very much. Our mandate is very effective in the sense that we go around the country to sensitize people to have dialogue as the one that we recently conclude. Over the time, over the months, we've been going around to all regions to involve stakeholders. They will be able to know what civic education is all about, and not only engaging stakeholders, but then going to media platforms like this one, so that we talk to people, they will be able to actually know what civic duties or civic mandate is all about.
Exactly. So you've recently concluded the peace dialogue in Fonyi. And what does this mean to you as an organization?
It's an achievement. I would conclude it as an achievement, and it was a successful dialogue, I could say, because we all know that within the Fonyis there has always been tension, even if it's not practicalized. People always see it as a high tension area, and going to Fonyi, having people in Fonyi willing to come out and have this resolution to address polarization, having security personnel, our partners on this recently concluded activity, which was ECOWAS being present, the ECOWAS ambassador being present, and then people of Fonyi coming out to deliberate on the issues that they're having. as per the security personnel, the way they're living in their community, and then addressing it and channeling it to the right personnel, being on ground to listen and trying to find solution in addressing their issues is one of the things that had happened, and it was actually a very successful one, the one that we recently concluded. It's not the first of its kind, because there was one done at Buyam and at Sibanor, and the most recently concluded one was at Kalaji, having all chief districts present, having all the stakeholders necessary being there, because it is very important to, when speaking out your issues, the right people that are supposed to hear it be on ground to listen to your issues and actually giving promising or future possible solutions in addressing these issues. That is what civic education is all about, informing people, getting to know people's problems and ways in addressing them. And not only ways in addressing them, but people responsible, knowing the people responsible are actually taking responsibility of these actions and being able to address these problems.
Yes, we can localize this now.
Okay.
It will benefit our local viewers more.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So Philip, dañ bëggoon nga wax ñu tuuti. Or are you comfortable?
Mandinka.
Okay. Julde.
So about fonyi la konyi ngalon ne konyi ko metale kabrin 2017 fonyi mol bijele ba complain kan about the ECOWAS or economic security forces saying atolla dia moto mune fintita me ko mol fango sitale ko okay nying malafi ay soto jang anda tolla approach to alia approach nyaade ne alia mun assurance le di gala kayita ndiko komi kay robinala because nim problem o fota fo solution ol yefo ni solution ol man fo problem o buka solve no
yo abarka bake kabri moltara foni pour nga nyimbe ngosoto ay nafa soto bake because nga minke wolo nyenti nga regional stakeholders sol nati amanda woda mala chief sol nata je alkalol nata women leader animo kotongal and even political advisor to the ECOWAS country representative of Bijele, of Claude Kando, and then the women leader Fanang Ofanam Bijele. So saying welcome in it and the Wolonyenti, Fonila ko saying Anyenta Banale, Mineba Banna Wolong, Nimol Sita Nkachat. So la na kabrim futata Foni Jarol, Molbe Fintita. So ila batadula kamit and the Wolanyenti. Fenko checkpoint to member Buyamji mo Jamal ba complain kanne ka for coming like normally waka accident Jamal le course and we told malo munat na wol sita ji so but it's safe of an kamit and wolong Ibrahima keke sanyang college and kamit and wolong nyinti ne atara fonyum kol malla fi pour checkpoint to traje mineba kelano wolong ka mol commandinang pour ya dialogue so ka jibe wolba bolano nyaadi leji anonima boje fana ibita ibe push no la nyaale ka bo o dinkrato because ne ajibe ko folong anonimo tol na fana ka batale understand mol batadal fana yemi wutani wala nyenti ne ajibe na fondinkel kata kasamasle ikata kasamasmela yirite yolong ikata kembi jenola andu ikata fana nyama senola so ikami itendi niatra lafta Cairo e sabati ndama kono ibaje la fuñi kol iba yamaro dila puri dingole ikata minna je kembi jenola ikata yiri boyla je ibe ya stop neja ni be stop te ibaje la ita problem no so la ita batadula itende ka fo ma nyinne ba keka malla fiñin la hanika bi alba keka so anyanda stop so Musa Jamal fanan kamitendi ne ajibe Kairoji iko a political la fanala o fanan ay fonyi walindile amul say Jamal biye mantara kankele because dol bak parti kare support kan dol fanan ba parti kare support so bari amine itendi wala nyinti nimbengo nyimben sifal siat ibaje la mulba kela kankilinati binala nga kacha nga jibe amba solutiono yin sotono la nyale pour Cairo inati nang fonyi banko kan so ne ajibe nyin non quality mi alon ko yi wulini nan ka jemi cho checkpoint o mimbije andum fanan kata ka sama sulo kana ka kuol ke mi alon ko woni luwal manta andum fanan ka nyama fuel ke wosifal so wol fanan ko wol be nyanta tulal andum political fanala fanin ka chal siata ko mi ba minke kan ibajala mol beba kala kankingol o Cairo mimba fonyi kono no ibajala o Cairo kilingol binala mol nga kekile killing.
So kambengo sotota jele.
Kambengo sotota.
Asotota.
Because diam lo min diam taji kata chiefol kata safeol kata even security force because Lieutenant Colonel Wasakamaro Bijele police soldier to ya aning mo kotengol ya mi tani wala ibela lodula falal ibajela coming Cairo murunam foni ibajela ni cool ketaje iba mul mako lo nyali mul being ke kankelende so even political advisor fanang ayitene abala lodula talale put kajem ila doko ECOWAS Gambia banko kanya ite bulo lam ite bulo ite bulo la bari iba kato kelal kaje mingo o Cairo min bijang iba sabatin la andanya kala nyam fana.
So Mariama legi National Council for Civic Education degala yena ngi def lu bari comme noko waxe waye dafa am tamit ñu bari ñu leen nekk di ngañi ndaxte issues daf de am da ngeen de silent ken du leen de dega a classical example of that mo nekk draft constitution bi debate bi bu amé ñu bari ñu ngi confused as to lan mo wara nekk citizens yi sa ñoom seen boppa seen taxawaale because dafa dem to a point political parties yi dañ ko politicize loo xam ne dafa war a nekk national document waaye dañ ko politicize waaye dañ gis ne ñu bari dañ leen ŋaañi because dañ wax ne yéen a war a génna ngeen sensitize nit ñi ñu mun a génnu leen pour sensitize nit ñi xam ban step la ñoo jël wala ban jéego la ñoo jël.
When it comes to civic education ñun we have a bigger problem you know when it comes to you people. The only time you get an activity more when elections are approaching. Understand nga? And there are a lot of things. You people, you should have been going up and down and sensitizing, teaching people, citizens. Lolu moy sen right. Amna ñoo xamne xamuñ dara. Suñ so len jangalu duñ mëna xam duñ understand. Yalla na ma yalla balal ci cadre bi. Nekkul ne dama living. Why? The thing is, we are not seeing much of you people. We are only seeing little. You know, so I don't know why. Dama xamut ndax da ngeen am a bureaucracy setup bi nga xamne you have to pass through so many things before you start doing any other thing. What is going on?
Actually, dina ko comme ni ma ko laajee si olof ma tontu la ko si olof. Civic education ñu bari dañ leen dee attribute to elections. Foog ne election rek lañ yéegee.
Waaw, because loolu lañ dee gis.
Wow, because dinaa wax ne loolu rek duñ ko dee def parce que most of the time doo ñëw suñu office sax ba nga fekka ñu fa for dem si dëkk bi maybe within the greater Banjul area there's a little bit of reluctance because dëgg tamit neexut waaye dangaa gis ne people within this area duñ dee very responsive compared to people ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi si regional area yi fépp foo mun a dugga from Foni nga wàcce to LRR URR North Bank soo ne NCCE rek xam nañ NCCE lu jëm si concern about 2024 draft bi du benn du ñaar we've gone around the country dem nañ fu nekka break down content of the constitution am nañ media engagements both radio ak online TVs which I cannot mention fii but def nañ yooyu noonu yëpp and then suñ demee comme nu ko Balde waxee we don't impose civic education suñ mandate mooy pour xamal nit ñi wan leen ne 2024 draft is out there people should also read dañ war a jàng xam lu nekk si biir constitution bi dëgg la civic education war nañoo xamale waaye suñ la xamalee tuuti nga xamal sa boppa li des parce que duñ mun a toog benn place rek di jàngal ñeneen ñi ba loolu jeex ñu bëgg a dem feneen te xam nañ ne draft constitution bi time frame la pour mu jaala si National Assembly bi doo mun a toog benn di jon jàngal ñi ba ñi xam ko ba satisfy nga doog a dem feneen but multiple engagements am na all over the regions of the country du benn du ñaar boobu noonu passaaguñ ko sax si boobu demaagut si first reading bi defaaguñ ko si National Assembly bi dem nañ ba base from all regions suñ demee dañoo am stakeholders responsible ba pare not only duñ dee am foofu noonu stakeholders responsible ba pare dañ leen dee ñaax ne leen soo gisee lu la jaaxal si constitution bi es bu ñëw nii make sure nga consult sa National Assembly member bi because kooku moo la si mën a jàppale nga wax ko lan nga si bugga lan moo leen doy ak lan moo leen doyut ci biir constitution boobu noonu. dëgg la comme li nga wax ñeneen ñi they are not very responsive waaye pour ne civic education is only time election lañ dee génna that would be a wrong notion. Because not only election matters lañ dee deal with currently, for example, comme luñ recently conclude has nothing to do with elections, which is the activity at Fonyi. And not only do we do activities yu mel noonu comme buñ def ni ak Fonyi, dem nañ si yeneen yu jëmale ko si wàllum PWD Act, persons with disability, because ñoom tam ñu ngi am ay constraints. We went out from Banjul to Basse, all regions, waxtaan ak seen nit ñi ñu ñëw PWDs yi wax seen constraints yi, stakeholders involved moo nekk caregivers, security personals, local authorities, ñëpp ñi nga xam ne dañ dee jànkuwante ak ñu génn a jàppale leen pour seen implementation of seen loi bi mu mun a dem. So with civic education xëy na riir bi du bëree boor bi waaye anywhere
lan moo waral loolu, because da nga mention ne maybe boor bi dañu reluctant
responsiveness mu ngi commencé si nit ki oola nga ñëw uyu ko nga déglu ko and then you do your findings tam daf si dee baax. Because léegi soo déggut civic education maybe it's because you're not following maybe the right platforms. It could be possible that you're not following the right platforms, because so demee sax si suñ Facebook page bi you could see constant updates of the things we do te du dee center only around the greater Banjul area. We go all over. Fuñ dem we people that are following the page would see that we are constantly on the move, and not only on nekku ne dañ focus rek on election matters, because election matters is not the only civic issue. We have so many other issues going on that people need enlightenment on. And then
especially suñ luwa yuñ fi am comme ñuñ fi dañ ko dee baaxoo di wax every time dañ am luwa yu baax mashallah waaye implementation bi daf dee nekk problème. So waaye implementation bi tamit nit ñi duñ ko mën a carré su dee ne civic education dafuñ seen wàlla educate nit ñi ne lii la luwa bi wax lii la luwa bi wax lii nga war fa ngeen jàngal nit ñi lan la luwa yi wax, because nekkul ñëpp comme noo ko waxee reading culture bi is very poor in this country. waaye yéen tamit seen responsibility la seen mandate, constitutional mandate pour ngeen jàngal nit ñi educate nit ñi to know some of these things.
I don't know whether you know it or not. Most people are not happy with you people. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it could be.
Yes.
Parce que
that's the truth.
Yeah, it
because
could be.
mu ngi mel ni daf dee am yenn instance ñun dañ dee toog ñu ne ana gaay ana ñoom duñ dee génn. Because it's your responsibility.
Yes.
Ba pare ñun nekkuñ di gis yéen a ngi koo def. So at the end of the time ñun tam lu ñoo feel ne okay these people are not doing what they are supposed to do. Man tey bu nekkee every morning maa ngi war a ñëw toog fii ma def programme. Dama ko owe to the public dama ñëw def xam nañ ne okay Balde ak Julde dañoo ñëw every suba. So suma viewer bi bu ubbee télé gisut mu gis music rek di play mu ngi mel ni man ñëwuma maa ko feel.
I think also one of those constraints would be not civic education.
Don't say finance.
No.
You bëri dañ dee laaw si gannaaw funding finance.
Movement in civic education can be quite costly, but sometimes duñ dee focus on loolu. Because we owe it to the people and then we give them our utmost best. Suñ amee external support, we also take it upon ourselves pour ñu gën a mun a implement. Because da ngaa gis ne si lu bëri sax dañ dee am ay partners yu ñu dee dimbale pour ñu fund yenn activities yi. But then again, I would say ne people dañ dee connote civic education for election only, to the extent that soo leen ooyee rek dañ dee foog ne election matters ngay ñëw wax. Fekk tamit du election matters.
Because maybe si election ngeen face bu baax.
Wow, maybe it could be that could be the narrative back then.
Yeah.
That could have been the narrative back then. But currently it is not the narrative.
So you've changed the narrative.
The narrative has drastically changed. Di nga gis ne we do so many engagements. If you follow National Council for Civic Education platforms, you would see that xëy na soo gisee election sax dafa fekk ne election is upcoming, but year round we're going through and implementing other activities, so many other activities different from election. So if people drop the notion of civic education and election, then they would see a brighter picture of what civic education is actually doing, different from elections only.
Okay, all right, Julda.
So, ñu si flip rek, yeah, for mole come at all. In terms of assessment, because ni ibe do ko wala mame yano ko kom karandirolem assessment o nyanta ka tarajele. So how often na alka assess mola level of understanding and donal be assessment o kekang alka kenyadi ne falka annual report le issue to show ne okay, this is the awareness level of Gambians for alka muneke.
Ambarka bake ni o jibe fanang civic education ye molle fanan soto mi alon ko iba grassroots level. So any activity ngami implement itulka assess nyadile iniwol fanam mol inimol wo mol katali ye kacha na fanal min discourse ibajala ni nata muroje ba lonna ko nying ngami nyimin kacha fo ya implement le fo ma implement therein ba able ba lonno la coming na activities ngami kacha no atamato ku kele fa man tama ku na man tama ku ke ba muldo dulal tamanila ka jemi coming ko wo activity implement atat anyanta tala anyanta work la anyanta kele nyami so wo fanala mba try kane because na program officer na civic education officer mba nin tumala min na fang ba diam kan imantara officer so wol ba tundol to ka jibe wo activities ol ngamin kenung fa bida ka anyama le fa mantra anyama so ibajal na mantra anyama mba mechanism nyinila mba call nyim falina ka jemi comme like anything ami implement anyanta tala nyami fa amo tara worker anu fana grassroots facilitators wol fana every now and then nikatara communicate kane nga nyimi kejang atata nyadile kabri mol milia participants milia attend fo mutali yela do ko kebang so yaba yala fo feedback sol fana aba officer makola bantol makola kaje nimba do implement la mba tamandi la nyale mba lodu la jumale tala kaje nying activity anyanta tala nyami Yambalal, your question on meaning ka Mariama with regards to the notion whether civic education it will ka fintinang election or la fanal. Ne ajibe Gambia jans tumando bije information o mulbuka hakilo to back. It all ika hakilo to menala me a concern. Bari ni election o not what time wala mulki hakilo to. Ibajalo come like what time civic education ba findika. But naman ke the right number minke kang ni mo jamal nyininka even in TB program ni mo jamal nyininka ita follow no ko civic education nata QTV le ni mo jamal fana nyininka ita follow ko civic education in a PWD Act discourse le across the region because wo fanala a me interest so me interest iko le diamo ban sa fo civic education every day nata officer ga engagement also media platforms kata regional to even Greater Banjul and I highlight coming Greater Banjul hinata mola finto being alone what Gambian coming kumbo long time to month time sort of.
Thank you.
So near more common in Naika
non tola wato fane banta. We've already exhausted our segment and we are getting into the segment of another at the time of another segment.
Okay.
Philip, thank you for coming. Mariama, thank you very much. Keep engaging the public. Keep educating the public.
Yeah, and we will engage them more too.
You have said all this, but I'm still not convinced.
Civic education. Anyanda clear le molia le meba caring.
Yes.
Mbuka si officer. Nkatara fintol. Ni tata regionoto. Niko civic education among the institution. Iba min fole wala civic education because ntol na nyanto longa finti kamol kalamuta ni meba caring.
Yalo muna nantol be nyinyi karol ke kan. Ntol sama nyimbanko ning alasonta ntol lebeter la jang. So we need to do the job now to make sure pour sama ntol nindingol setarano jam proper. Kebal mel bijan they are gone. They are nyil operator already. So ntol lem.
Because you would see that civic education but civic education is now being implemented in
schools. Na director ko ave program o kuntura
No, we will definitely engage
so we will do that again another time. So viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then the program is going to continue. We'll be back.
Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Soru Go, ebe da full network suda tili. QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. QCell. Most reliable network jumala keta wati. QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria. QCell. Sunny boss. Nyo finjaka indi 3G new delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawa fele QCell. Ko fazunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell made a lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be kenoma. QCell Sunibus. QCell Sunibus. QCell Sunibus. QCell Sunibus. One next solo be bambandi QCell Sunibus. QCell most innovative QCell Sunibus.
Kiumoni arti webi nafitoragol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiumoni a wawai wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawai hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o kiumoni app kesong a wawai nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paɓa soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ida wawi kadi nuldude kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu kiwmoni customer care e 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki kiwmoni.
You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now let's move to the last segment of this program, and we are talking about World Autism Day. And the celebration, it's been celebrated a few days back, I think on Saturday, if I am right. And we have Majidi Jallo, National Coordinator, and what's your name? Jenaba Bitey,
Program Officer.
Program Officer.
Yeah.
Yes, Julde.
Thank you very much for coming on QTV this morning program. Please tell us about National Autism Day. Is it an organization or association that you have already that you're fighting for the cause of people living with this, or Jay?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Balde, it's good to be back. Basically, it's not a National Autism Day, but it's World Autism Awareness. Okay. April is the month that the awareness of autism is being celebrated throughout the world.
Now, what I mean, we have a
it's an organization. Yeah. It's called the Gambia Autism Support and Advocacy Network.
Okay.
Yeah. So we commemorated the World Autism Day. Yeah. The day specifically is the 2nd of April, but we did on the 2nd because of Eid preparations and all that. But the whole month is Autism Awareness Month.
So what is the current statistics in place as far as autism is concerned in the Gambia? Majid? Or Jay?
Okay, based on research in the Gambia, like we have no national statistics that states like the number of people that are autistic within the Gambia.
So how long has this organization been in place?
Yes, good morning and thank you so much for having us, Mr. Banna and my sister here. Anyways, my name is Abdul Majid Jallo. I'm founder and the National Coordinator of Gambia Autism Support and Advocacy Network. This organization was found in December when I came back from my studies in East Africa, because being there, you get to see that there is a lot of advocacy that is happening for this individual. Then, you know, coming back to your country as a young person, you want to do something for the nation. You're thinking about doing something that, you know, people have not focused on. So, you know, then I was like, you know, why not I bring like young people from different backgrounds and see how best we can have this organization in this country. So since in December, when I came back, we started...
December of which year?
2024.
Oh, okay, that's a recent one.
Recent one.
Yeah.
We started though in October, the preparation and everything, but you know, in Gambia here, before you get your certification for the registration and all those things, it takes time. So that is why we didn't complete it in this month, but in December we were done with everything. Then January we started working as an organization towards the first thing that we planned as an organization was like, why not we, focus on something that has not been done in a sense of, let's say, that is the World Autism Day celebration, which is the first time, and as well we launched the organization and same day.
Okay, so you actually have an organization because you believe other countries in East Africa are having it, and the way they were creating awareness, and you think that is not within in-country. That was the reason why you actually set up this organization.
Yes, and
right?
part of it.
But
because
do you have plans to actually...
I have a niece who is an autistic. Autistic girl at my home. So that motivates you as a young person as well too, because when I came back I get to take her to the hospital. There is not that special needs that she she deserves. She's not getting it. So I was like, you know what, maybe I start to advocate for that, because might be mine as because I'm a health worker. So I can help in one way or the other way around. But what about other people that are living with these kids? How are they coping with it? You understand?
What is autism itself?
Yeah, autism is a broad range of condition. Though some is a different. We have people that have social issue with skills. Some having repetitive behaviors. Some having issue with non-verbal communication. Some can't communicate at all. So there are different types of autism. But some people, an autistic individual has different strengths and challenges that he or she face as well. Like you get to see that some people need support with their daily lives stuffs, but some people might need minimal support. So that is how they are. So those are the types of autism, and that's a simple way of describing what autism is all about.
So do we know that the causes of this?
Yeah, in the Gambia, as an organization, we are not focusing on, being diagnosed in this individual or stuff like that, but we are just out there to make a sensitization teach people about what is autism and how to accept or create that inclusion environment for this individual, because most of our sisters today have been suffering from this stuff in a sense of, let's say, how the Gambian think, let's say, so I'm a dombu melni mom, yaayam du don sol lu baax, or those things, how the misconception of gene comes in and all those things. So that is why, we want to change that narrative, because personally,
in changing the narrative, it's important to tell people the real causes of autism.
Yeah, I guess he made mention of something very important, that is the misconceptions. So now, talking about some of the causes, for instance, sometimes it's genetic. We also have environment as a factor that causes autism.
Environment,
how?
Environment
adds up to autism. For instance, some people, it is because of their environment, because it has to do with the brain as well. It's a neurodevelopmental issue. So it also has to do with the brain, and we know how the brain is connected with the environment. So people, because of they don't know the causes, that is why the misconceptions, are around within the Gambia. As he said, in most of the issues that happen, it is mostly women that are, mostly affected, because if you see these kids, we visited a lot of families, but what they will tell you is the mom, is always giving words of you're doing this, that, and that is why you don't have, a PHR sort of. So,
but is it curable?
Another cause might be another cause, which is in studies they will tell you that when the fetus, which is the baby in the womb of the mom, is being deprived of oxygen, well, let's say a prolonged labor. You get to see some, women that goes for labor in 2-3 days. They're still on that labor room, not giving birth. All those things are part of the causes as well.
Okay. So is it scientifically proven that it can be a cause?
Sure.
So is this curable in the Gambia?
Autism in general is not curable, but when you go to certain diagnosis and therapy, you get to develop certain skills and then talents. We know that not all people, even like other people, are not all talented, but because these people usually they have that extraordinary brains, because we have autistic people doing extremely well, like in other fields. So when they're given therapy, it can help them, you know, overcome some of these challenges that they face. Because you see kids when they're born, they cannot talk, but when they get the right therapy, after they get to, you know, talk and then develop other skills as they grow.
Just even to add on that,
yeah.
we have, I can tell you, if you do a research on it, we have greatest people. If, for example, if today you're talking about the richest man on earth, you know, you need to mention Elon Musk. And he confirmed it that he's an autistic. We have the greatest footballers, which is Lionel Messi. You have to count him in if you're talking about football general. And he's an autistic. We have great Albert Einstein, Newton, the list goes on. So, you know, I'm just adding on whatever she said.
Yeah.
It's just creating that inclusion environment and that acceptance, and as well creating that environment for that therapy that this individual needs to go on. Then you get to see that this, what like she's talking about.
But those do we have the facilities in place for that? I know it's not curable, but do we have facilities like that?
Not yet.
And train professionals to be able to handle cases like that?
Okay, you know, the specialization in the Gambia is less.
Yeah.
Though we have some, you know, some doctors in the Gambia that are specializing autism, but doing a research, we realized that that is not like sufficient for the autistic populace in the Gambia. And then sometimes even if you meet them, they have the knowledge and all that, but they don't have the facility. Like we visited a family, and then they always go to a doctor at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. But then the dad said that though they have that the sessions and all that on speech therapy and all that, but he saw that there was no improvement because of, let's say, he has the knowledge, but then no facilities in place to ensure that, you know, that therapy is being, you know, effective on the child. So you can see that there's really a gap, and that is why most of the autistic people in the Gambia will just sit at home or won't go to school. And as well, we know that our school system, not all schools accept these special needs kids. And sometimes too, you cannot blame the school. For instance, if you don't have the facility to keep the child, you will not, let's say now you don't have also a teacher that is experienced when it comes to special needs. How will the teacher treat that child to the other? So all those are challenges that the autistic people face and their families.
So in terms of awareness and advocacy, what are you doing? Because you, honestly, your organization have a lot of work to do. This is new in the Gambia.
Especially with the little resources and little infrastructure and facilities we have.
You have a lot of work to do. So are you in any collaboration with the Ministry of Health and other partners to actually create awareness, especially to enable these people with autism to actually belong in society, to have access to education, good education, healthcare, and all of that, which I think is very, very important.
Yeah, and that is why I just concluded Autism Celebration. We invited relevant stakeholders, health professionals. You have the Office of the First Lady, her foundation, because we believe that it's a key stakeholder when it comes to inclusion. We also have the mayor of KMC, because the activity was done in KMC, and then looking at the community setup when it comes to that. And as well, we have school kids that are autistic, because we invited the Methodist Special School, and they came with some of their students, and that gets them included, because it talks about inclusion, and that will make them feel that we are seen, and then our condition is being accepted, because all what autistic people need is that understanding. As you said, the organization has a very big role, because we understand that there is a gap in awareness when it comes to the Gambia. Because that day, while we would, because we had a walk before the actual celebration, but then people will pass by and they will ask, what is this about? Because, you know, some of them saw these kids within us, so they will be like, oh, so this is what we call autism. Like, they don't even know. And there was this, there was a guy, so he asked me, sister, what are you guys celebrating? I told him autism. Then I was kind of busy, then he was like, just talk to him, then please come so that I can understand. So, you know, sometimes it's also a challenge that we don't know the exact word in Wolof, but when you explain on how they behave and all that, they tend to understand. And one of the things that he told me was, most of the time, send parents Hamga. And then when he said that, then I had to ask, send parents as in, you see, like the misconception that people have when it comes to this, and that is all because we don't have that awareness within the. But as you said, some of the things that we are doing is trying to engage relevant stakeholders in making sure that the message is out there, and as well using social media platforms. And we also have plans in visiting places in the Gambia and letting people know what autism is, because the media alone is not enough, the mainstream media, but as well we need to use other platforms in reaching people in far and wide, like in the Gambia.
So organization of this nature require a lot of funding, because you have to do a lot of activities and all that. Where do you get the funds from, and what is the composition of the organization, the people that are in?
Yeah, in regards of just to continue from where she stopped, and there is one mentality that I always tell these people is it's okay to be different, but in our country here, people don't understand that word. Like, they would think that if you talk about it's okay to be different, like it's just a normal thing. But people don't understand what it means to be, it's okay to be different, because we believe that everyone should be the same, as Pap Juve will always say. And I love that song of his, whereby he will say, yàlla dafa bind doomu waaye yemaloo leen mu may kii tuuti mu may kii lu bari. So it's important for us to understand, like we listen to stuff, but people, I believe in the Gambia we need a lot of awareness, even in the music industry. If you listen to this artist, they say something very, very sensitive, but if you look at it, it's very wide. It means and as an organization right now, just to add on again, which is we had the presence of the Minister of Youth and Sport, Honorable Bakari Uwai Baji. He came, he was there, and as well, so that he is ready to support with Her Excellency as well, the First Lady. So right now, as we are talking right now, we don't have anyone that is supporting us. Just about this World Autism Day that we celebrate recently, which is the first time and being celebrated as well. And when we were launching our organization, with the help of Ajib Bank, they were our main sponsors for the event. We had GRA, Gambia Revenue Authority as well coming in. We have Afrisal, we have Kanifi Municipal Council, we have UONA Forex Bureau. So people were ready to support, because they get to see, oh, this is happening, oh, this is in this country. So people that didn't even support were later like, why didn't I knew about this? Because after the event, MRC Holland, were there. You get to see different stakeholders, different NGOs from different backgrounds coming to you to tell you about why didn't you let them know about this stuff. So right now we don't have any, let's say, anywhere that we are saying that this is our main sponsor for stuff like that. But whatever we are doing as an organization, it's it's not like we are putting money in front of us. Since we started, we are using our own money from our own pockets. Whatever we do, whatever shirts that you see us wearing, whatever we are doing outside, the community engagement and stuff that we are doing is from our own pockets. As that youths that are going for school, most of us are going to school. Some are working, some are going to school. But we are the one pledging together, seeing how best we can support this individual. So as an organization right now, what we want where our compositions is right now, which is to focus on raising awareness. Our next step as a plan activity, what we want to do is to do a nationwide sensitization sort of, because it's important for people to know what is autism. You understand how to create that, how to create that inclusion environment, how to create that acceptance and love for this individual, because that is what they need.
Right.
If you are giving them that, if you give them that opportunity and you give the parent the opportunity to know how he or she can help this individual, you get to see their potentials. So as an organization, this is our next plan. But we are calling, if there is any, anywhere that we can get, we will knock in. This time around, we are not going to stop in only some certain places. We will knock every door, government, non-government, microfinance, everything, to see how best they can support us to get to, a nationwide sensitization sort of.
Thank you.
Teach people about what autism is all about.
Thank you, gentleman and lady, for coming on the program. And, we are partners in development, and we hope to engage you more and more in the future.
Indeed.
Yes. By the way, this event is the first time it is celebrated in the Gambia, and I am hopeful next year would be greater.
Sure.
Inshallah.
Yes. Julde, thank you.
Until we come your way tomorrow.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.